What's up everybody? I'm Aaron Rian with the Brokerage House, and I help thousands of agents make millions of dollars in commissions in the real estate industry. And today, we're going to talk about the rise in canceled contracts throughout the entire nation and what you can do as an agent to help prevent that from happening to you and your customers. So in this video, we're going to go over exactly what it is that we're seeing in local and national markets and the strategies and the tips that you can utilize as an agent to help your contracts and sales not fall apart. So far in North Texas, home builders are seeing an alarming surge in cancellations of contracts on new homes, triggering a sharp drop in sales and pending sales over the last month, and a record rate of increase in new home listings in the multiple listing service. So what that means is we're seeing a lot more inventory, and we're seeing a lot of the actual sales that are in escrow failing. So those properties are coming onto the market and not selling. So we're kind of getting hit with double the inventory, and it's causing the inventory levels to rise to a level that we have not seen in years. So it's causing buyers to have a lot more choices in the home that they want to buy. So as opposed to where we were at 60 days ago, where there was no inventory and buyers just had to buy whatever home they could get their hands on before another buyer snapped it up. Right now, because of the rising inventory levels, we're seeing buyers being able to be a lot more selective, and they're paying a lot less than they were 60 days ago for real estate. One of the nice things about being a buyer's agent in this market is you're not having to show 10, 15, 20 houses to the same buyer, write contracts on every house that you guys show, and not get any of them and have to explain that to your client and continue to drive them around and show them property after property after property. So the news isn't necessarily all bad for those of us in the real estate community. And remember, just because we're seeing increased levels of inventory, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The market that we were in 60 days ago was just so unsustainable that it couldn't continue any further. So what we're seeing with the rising inventory levels is that it's just getting back to being a normal market. It's not the red hot market that it was 60 days ago, but it's getting back to just being a little bit more of a normal market. Remember, an even market is where we have 6 months worth of inventory. Across almost all markets throughout the US, there's still less than 3 months worth of inventory. So it still means that it's very much a seller's market, but we're definitely getting more inventory available for sale, which causes the market to be more stable and causes buyers to have more choices, and for it not to be so competitive to where sellers are getting offers done at hundreds of thousands of dollars over their list price. Mortgage rates rose from 3.76% in the first week of March to 5.81% in late June. According to Freddie Mac's weekly mortgage market survey, mortgage costs are now 30% higher than a year ago for home buyers able to buy the median home price. They're building their house. They went under contract 9 months ago. They go to lock it in, right? Because their house is getting closer to being completed. There are ways to lock it in further ahead, but it's really, really hard. You kind of got to wait till you're at the tail end of the process when you're building a house. So now their interest rates have doubled. So they literally can't even afford the house that they bought 9 months ago. They simply can't get approved for it. That is a big chunk of what we're seeing in the marketplace, because so many buyers had purchased or put contracts in on homes that were being built because the inventory was so tight. Builders were like, hey, give us a deposit and we'll build you your house. You get it in 6 months or 9 months or whatever the case was. So they'd put down their earnest money. They'd sit there and wait. Well, what happened during that waiting period while they were waiting for their house to get completed is rates almost doubled, bumping them out of affordability in that price range. And so that's been one of the biggest struggles in the marketplace. So as realtors, the question might be, what do you do if that's happened to your client? What do you do if your client put an offer in on a new construction home and now they can't afford it because rates have doubled? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. Of course, the first thing is you could say, look, you're no longer qualified for the $500,000 house that we had in contract, and now we got to go look at $400,000 houses because based on the new rates, this is what you can afford, and rates are going to go up again. So we should probably snap something up in your price point that's ready to go before rates go up again. That's the first thing that you actually could do if you're an agent and your clients were still wanting to buy. The second thing that you could do is you could talk to the lender and see if it was possible if the lender or maybe even the builder or the seller to hold that deal together would be willing to buy the interest down. If they would be willing to buy back a couple of points so that the buyer could lower their payment and afford the property is definitely an option when you're looking at the whole picture when it comes to either the seller might be able to contribute some funds towards closing costs and buy the points down. Maybe the lender's making enough on the loan that they could do it for them. They're not going to be really excited about doing it, but if you ask them and push on it, it's something that a lot of times they'll do to keep that loan with them. So there's a couple of different options that you can utilize if you're in this position. Other things that you want to keep in mind when you're talking about rising rates and your client's ability to purchase real estate, and that is make sure that your clients understand that these aren't the last rate increases that we're going to see in 2022. There are going to be more rate increases, and in fact, we're going to see more this month. We're talking about actually increasing the rates up to 75 basis points, which is one of the largest increases that we've seen in decades. So if you're representing a buyer or you have somebody who's looking to purchase, they're definitely going to want to identify the property, write the offer, get that transaction locked in, but more importantly, get their rate locked before the rates go up the 3/4 of a point that it probably will this month. So something to keep in mind if you're an agent out there listening to this and you're working with a lot of buyers, identify a property quick, get it in contract, make sure the lender locks their rate and secure their position in being able to purchase that property. So that is one of the main things that I would absolutely say. If you're out there representing buyers, be transparent with your clients. Let them know what's going on in the marketplace. Remember, all the information that you give to your clients doesn't have to always be good news. You can give them the truth. Most buyers and sellers in this market will respect you for giving them the honest truth. And they'll continue doing business with you. Not everything that you say to them has to be things that they want to hear. Remember, people get bad news and information they don't want in all aspects of their life, not just in buying real estate. So keep in mind that when you are actually talking to your clients, you can give them the good, the bad, and the ugly. The next recommendation that I have for you, if you're an agent out there and you're working with buyers and you're having a hard time with the adjustment in the marketplace, remember, a lot of buyers might start asking you, is the market going to crash? Are we going to see another 2008? Am I going to buy a house today that's going to be worth significantly less in the future? And the answer to that is probably not. Our houses and our real estate is probably not going to be worth significantly less 6 months from now. We're probably not going to see a full market crash. And I'll tell you why that is. Because unlike 2008, when we had a full economic meltdown, one of the driving factors of that was we had so many defaults from bad mortgages that were written. And we had a lot of people who weren't qualified for the mortgages that they had. So they basically couldn't afford them in the first place. So when the economy crashed, they let those properties go. Those properties would get taken back by the banks, come to the market as a bank-owned or REO property, and those sellers that wanted to try to get out of their properties without letting them go back to the bank, a lot of them were doing short sales, where they actually owed more than the actual value of the property was, so they would try to list their home for market value and then negotiate with the bank on the shortfall. And that caused a huge bottleneck in the market because that process in some cases would take years to get approved for the buyers and the sellers. So unlike in 2008, we're not going to see a ton of that inventory because we don't have a lot of bad loans on the books. The majority of buyers who bought over the last decade have been well qualified, had to have income verified, great credit, had to have good tax returns, and they're good borrowers. So we're not going to have that part of the market dragging us down this time. What we will see is definitely a correction. We're going to see more inventory on the market. We're going to see rates going up so buyers can afford a little less. So we're going to see prices start to come down. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Rates were going up in some cases 15 to 16% per year. And that is unsustainable. Remember, a regular real estate market should appreciate at 3 to 4% annually. And so when we saw those huge appreciations, it wasn't good for our market. And so when you're talking to a buyer and you're talking to them about, is the market going to crash? Are we going to see an economic meltdown? You can confidently say, probably not. But what we will see is we'll see prices come down a little bit. We're going to see more inventory available. But if you buy, you're going to be still in a better position than if you rented. You're going to be building equity in something. You're going to be paying down a mortgage instead of paying down your landlord's mortgage. You're going to get the interest deduction on your mortgage. So there are some things and some additional benefits that a buyer can still realize in today's real estate market if they acquire a property and they don't just sit on the bench and wait for the perfect time to buy. Remember also, another thing that you got to be able to tell a buyer is you're never going to buy at the perfect time. You'll never buy at the absolute bottom of the market. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows when the market's going to hit an absolute bottom. You kind of just have to do your best, and you need somewhere to live. So when you need somewhere to live, why not find a place that you're happy with and that you can afford and you can stay in for a while? And that way you can be in a nice, comfortable position where you have your house secured, you can live there, you can pay the mortgage down, and when the market comes back, you'll have a nice asset that you can utilize to be able to sell or refinance or use as a tool to be able to get another loan or build your net worth. So hopefully you found this video to be helpful. Hopefully you've liked the content in our video. If you're a fan of our content, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below. If you're a fan of the content in this video, give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions about talking to buyers, or maybe you're a buyer in the marketplace and you're just not sure what to do, leave us questions, leave us comments down below. We make sure that we answer all of those. And I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.